Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are here for the fourth and final qualifying round of the Coach Dave Academy Porsche Academy Cup. So we've had rounds 1, 2 and 3 that have seen 15 drivers make it into the grand final on November 23rd. This is the fourth and final qualifying round that these guys can get involved with, and this will see the final 5 join the other 15 on the grid to make up the 20 runners and riders that will do battle at Spa-Francorchamps on November the 23rd. But we have TKR Saturn on pole from Car Mentalist. On row 2 is Militant and Chromedix. Row 3 is Wilson and Gerino. Row 4 is Shadow and Steve. Row 5 is Isaac and Pappy. They make it the top 10, and Saturn will get them underway as the lights do turn green. The green flag's dropped. Who's going to get the whole shot into turn 1? You've got Car Mentalist challenging right round the outside, then he's got to go defensive as TKR Saturn. He goes defensive as they all slow it down into turn 1. 3 abreast just behind then. Hopefully they all make it through there. They all give each other space as we'll just go back down the grid to watch every runner and rider negotiate the first sequence of turns. And there are no incidents to report, which is fantastic to see, as we do have one driver going off. We have a spinner. It's AMG Dens, ladies and gentlemen. He has spun that Porsche Cup car then. These guys will be experienced cold. Wherever cold breaks, it is very hard to get it up to temperature, unlike the normal GT3 cars. So AMG Dens with all the work to do. He is now the final runner and rider of these 20 drivers. Unfortunate on lap 1 of this race, he gets it all wrong. He's not a usual driver in the Porsche machines. He usually drives the Mercedes-Benz exclusively, but we will ride back on board with your pole sitter. He's leading them round to complete lap number 1. He's coming round to negotiate the final chicane now. TKR Saturn, the flame spit out of that exhaust. He's got a beautiful livery on that Porsche Cup car then. As he does lead them round to complete lap number 1. It is TKR Saturn from Car Mentalist. Car Mentalist is just trying to hold on to the back of him then. Less than a second is the gap between those two. We won't want to lose the slipstream entirely. Already 2 seconds further back is Militant 95 in 3rd place position. He's holding off Chromedix there in 4th. Chromedix was your 2 hour of Spa winner on Saturday. So just like Baggy in qualifying round 3, he's picked up a Coach Dave Academy bundle for his efforts in the 2 hours of Spa last Saturday. He sits 4th today, so he is in one of those qualifying positions, those all important top 5 positions for the grand final later on in the month. Gerino then has climbed up into the top 5, so who have we lost from that original 5th place position? I can't quite see who it was, but Gerino is then up into P5. He is just inside the bubble. He is where he needs to be. Ben Gallagher is doing all the chasing. Half a second is the gap. He'll want that top 5 position. As we have lost, who have we lost? We have lost TKR Saturn. Oh no, TKR Saturn, what has happened? He's got damage on the front of that car, as we got spinners behind him. TKR Saturn, I've missed that one, ladies and gentlemen. If anybody was riding on board with him, please do let me know in the comments what went wrong for TKR Saturn. Mark Davis leader crash. Did he crash out on his own? Was it a driver error? He's got 40 minutes to try and climb back up into the top 5 with that damage on the front of that push machine. That is so unfortunate because he certainly had the pace to win this one today. He is down in 14th place with it all to do. He lost control, oversteer. That is very unfortunate. Like I was saying in qualifying round 3, these cars are so unforgiving. As soon as you make one mistake, that is it, it will throw you off and punish you dearly, which is what's happened to TKR Saturn. So Car Mentalist is your new race leader for the 4th and final qualifying round, ladies and gentlemen. He leads him around 2.3 seconds. Is the gap between himself and Militant 95, so he at the minute is going unchallenged because he doesn't have TKR Saturn to worry about anymore. Militant 95 is in second and he's got a gap of 1.3 seconds to Chromedix. So those 3 are your big beneficiaries. They've moved up into the podium positions for the qualifying round number 4. Ben Gallagher has found a way past Jorginho also whilst all that was going on. So they are your top 5 right now. CSX Isaac sits just outside. TJT Adam look to make a dive up the inside as he loses control of the push too. He collects Isaac. That is not what's supposed to happen, guys. TJT and Isaac have come together then. As there's more contact then, TJT, you need to compose yourself, sir. You need to regather yourself and get that car back on the tarmac without causing too much trouble. A big beneficiary of everything going on in front of him is TKR Saturn. He's going to want to be making moves back up through the field. He's got a whole bunch of cars in front of him then, and he's certainly got the pace advantage over these. So it's all change in the top 10. Ray Steve then is the one who just sits outside the bubble as he's being challenged from AJS. Fantastic drive from AJS, and he's up into 6th place. I believe he qualified just outside the top 10, but right on his outside then, we're right on both of these two. Ray Steve is challenging right round the outside as Shadow has dropped to the rear of the field then. He is in the pits. Is his race run? What has happened to CRN Shadow, ladies and gentlemen? Please let me know. It's all change in the final qualifying round, but the top 3 still motor on. Car Mentalist leads, Militant 95 leads, ERS Chromedix. Ben Gallagher is sitting there in 4th. Jorginho is there in 5th, and those make the top 5 currently. But as we've just seen in the opening 3 laps, it's all to play for, and anything can happen. It can all change. Don't count your chickens just yet, ladies and gentlemen. 38 minutes remaining in this one. Who's going to be the next victim to drop their Porsche machine? AJS hasn't done so far. The Australian up early in the morning for this one. He's currently sitting there in 6th place in that yellow and blue livery. But right behind him is Ray Steve, and he's not going to be happy sitting behind AJS. Those guys need to be making moves to catch the top 5. As Wilson is there in P8 with Pappy in 9th, and then we've got that gaggle of cars then as TKR Saturn is now back up into the top 10. He's going to be kicking himself dearly, I'm sure of it, as he's found his way past TJT, Schmate and MSX to make his way back up into the top 10. So all the work to do for those guys. They don't want to be battling too long because they'll be slowing themselves down. But we will ride back on board with Car Mentalist then. And some of these guys are producing some fantastic liveries for this Academy Cup event. That's a lovely purple and green machine leading the way. The number 95, he's 5 seconds ahead of Militant 95. But Militant 95 is coming under increasing pressure from Chromedix, as these top 5 are now getting ever so closer together. Militant from Chromedix, Ben Gallagher from Jorginho, they're all on the same back straight around Circuit de Catalunya. Less than 2 seconds separate these 4 drivers, all battling out for a top 5 position, as we do have a spinner. Who's that? who has spun out. I can't quite see who is that, number 15. Militant 95, that is not what you're supposed to do, Militant. You shouldn't be there in the grass. He is dropping right down the order then. This is not in the script. Militant 95. What is happening with these front runners and riders, ladies and gentlemen, in this final qualifying round of this Coach Dave Academy Cup? He's going to be kicking himself there, Militant 95. That he just lost the rear of that Porsche Cup car, and he is now right down outside of the top 10. No sorts of problems for Car Mentalist then. He's leading the way. His gap has been extended due to Militant 95 going off. Chromedix is now your P2 man. He was putting Militant under some pressure, and he has benefited from that pressure because he is now sitting in P2 comfortably. Ben Gallagher 6 seconds further behind. Jurinho is close on his tail, however, and AJS, he's doing everything that's needed to be done to make it into the final of this Academy Cup. He does love the Porsche machines, does AJS. He's an ever faithful driver of all the GT3 Porsche, the GT4 Porsche and the Academy Cup car, and he's having a fantastic race to find himself in the top 5 where he needs to be. But he's got to be careful because, as you just saw in the stream, ladies and gentlemen, he's got a whole bunch of cars behind him in his rear view mirror, and the first one of those is Wilson. The next one is Ray's, Pappy and TKR Saturn on a comeback drive then. These are all closely bunched up. The 777 machine is leading this pack of cars closely, so the fight is very much on for this final position into the grand final on November the 23rd. But they do go on to lap number 7 then. Car Mentalist leading the way. Chromedix is dropping back. He's some 7 seconds behind because he does have Ben Gallagher breathing down his neck then. You got the gold machine, you got the blue machine, and you've got the green machine. These second, third and fourth lapping closely together then. If one of these guys puts a foot wrong, you know the other one's going to be pouncing as Ben Gallagher slides it round, as Chromedix is coming under increasing pressure. He's taking that defensive line that will compromise his speed, as Ben Gallagher is right on the tail then. He's going to be looking to capitalise. He's going to be looking to make moves on this back straight. Is he going to get a good enough exit on this fast sweeping right hander? Is he going to look for a move at the inside? He thinks better of it. He's hugging the inside line then. Move out the way, Chromedix. Ben Gallagher's coming through. Who's going to be the latest upbreakers between those two? This is fantastic to see, as Chromedix does hold it just for now then, as Ben Gallagher and Jurinho are lapping closely. We'll have a look back to what's going on with AJS, as he's also coming under pressure from Wilson and Ray's, with TKR Saturn waiting in the wings also. AJS gets it all a bit wrong then, a bit sideways on the exit. Don't lose the rear of that machine, sir. You are sitting in that 5th and final spot, which will get you to the final of this Academy Cup sponsored event by Coach Dave Academy. So this 4th and final round is producing some spectacular racing. AGS is bunching this group of cars up, and that is allowing TKR Saturn, believe it or not, who dropped right down the field. He is now looking to be in contention to once again be in one of those top 5 positions to get himself into that grand final, and I'm sure if he makes it there, he will want to make amends for the mistake of dropping it entirely himself. That was a driver error early on which saw him lose the lead. As we look just outside the top 10 then, MSX is holding that top 10 position. Militant 95 is having a comeback drive. He sits 11th. Prozac is 12th. Schmate is at 13th. TJT is 14th. He's had enough. And look at the damage on that machine. It's been in the wars as TJT. AMG Dens is up to 15th then. after dropping to the rear of the field on lap number 1. He dropped it on turn 3, unfortunately. Buzzkill is there in 16th, D-Strap is 17th. Some of these guys are late entries to make up the 20 drivers on the grid today. CTM Alex and CRN Shadow. His race is run, unfortunate for him. But Car Mentalist leads the way. 10 seconds is the gap. He's doing everything he needs to do to book his place in the final. And Ben Gallagher is up into P2 then. He's found his way past Chromedix. Chromedix has succumbed to the pressure as he's gotten very deep into the final chicane, and he loses another position then. So Gerino is another beneficiary of Chromedix's mistakes. He hasn't dealt with that pressure well as Chromedix is in the wall. Chromedix is in the wall, ladies and gentlemen. He lost it under braking. AJS miraculously, here he comes. He's up into 4th place. AJS. U-Motor on, sir, the Australian, up into 4th place as Chromedix is coming under pressure from Wilson. Wilson has found his way past. Also TKR Saturn is next in line as Ray Steve has just dropped off then that pack as Pappy is now looking for a way up the inside also. So I'm not sure what's going on there, ladies and gentlemen. Ray Steve is dropping off the pace. He's got a bit of front end damage, so I'm wondering if he's just had a tap somewhere along the lines. But he's dropping from 6th or 7th down to the rear of the top 10 as AJS. We're right on board with AJS then. He is holding 4th place from Wilson Big Mike, who is trying to chase him down. Chromedix is now there in 6th after that off. I'm sure he's going to feel that damage on the front of that machine. He had a almighty wallop and bang into that tyre wall. So I'm sure he's going to be feeling the effects of that machine. But let's not forget TKR Saturn has also got damage. So it's all about who can maintain these cars the best, and those two guys are going to have I'm sure they're going to have very high tyre weight in this 45 minutes race. They've still got 30 minutes to go. The track temperature is slowly dropping, so they might be okay with a... Oh, TKR Saturn, he's struggling there. We've seen him get all wobbly then through this tight and twisty section of Circuit de Catalunya. He is really struggling with that machine. He is in the dirty area of Chromedix, and you can see his teammate Wilson just ahead there. Wilson is holding that all-important 5th place. TKR and Chromedix will want to be taking that from him as AJS Motors on. The top 3 are away and gone, ladies and gentlemen. Gerino is the 3rd place man. Ben Gallagher is 2nd. Car Mentalist is leading the way. He's holding on to that 10-second lead. Ben Gallagher there in 2nd. He's got a 1.5 second gap to Gerino, so he's got a nice cushion between himself and Gerino. Gerino's not really pressuring him. These guys will know their place is booked in the final. AJS though, he's holding his own in that 4th place. He's got a 1.2 second gap to Wilson as Wilson, Chromedix and Saturn are all fighting for that final 5th place position. So as these guys do fight away, they will be slowing each other down. Pappy is there in 8th. He's under pressure from Ray Steve. Ray Steve looking to go around the outside. He can't quite make it work. This time around MSX, and he's up into the top 10. He hasn't really featured this race as of yet, so we're right on board with MSX for the time being. He's transferred his usual McLaren livery over to the Cup car as Militant 95 is once again in the barrier. I'm sure his race is run as he does port himself back to the pits. He's going to be kicking himself dearly, I am sure of it, because he was running in the top 3 as he does retire from the race. So unfortunate scenes for Militant 95, ladies and gentlemen. He really does have the pace in every single event that he enters, but he's very hit and miss with keeping it on the tarmac. If he keeps it on the tarmac, you usually see him win the event. Yeah, he's got the pace to win these events. It's just very unfortunate when these mistakes creep in, as Prozac and Schmate are having a good battle just outside the top 10. As we got a spinner then, I'm not sure if TJT or if Prozac rather was sent spinning or he lost it. if he lost the rear himself, I'm not quite sure. I'll have to wait and see what happened there. That might be an incident to report in the steward room later on. But we'll just go back to Wilson in 5th place then. He's 0.2 of a second behind AJS. He's managed to drop Chromedix then. Chromedix is now 2 seconds adrift as he's trying to hold off Saturn. I'm sure if Saturn can find a way past, he's got the pace to catch up to Wilson. But this is the battle we need to watch then, because Chromedix and Saturn are... they need to catch back up to Wilson and AJS. This is a very interesting tactical race between these 4 drivers, because 2 of them are holding the final qualifying positions and 2 of them are just outside of it, and if these 2 guys don't work together, they will just be drifting away, as TKR Saturn is looking for a move up the inside. As Chromedix loses it, he's in the grab. Will keep control of that car, sir. Get it back on the tarmac, as you do, but that has freed up TKR Saturn then on the comeback drive of the day. He's up into 6th and he's got his sights set on that 5th place position. Wilson Big Mike is also trying to make moves on AJS. I'm sure if Wilson can get past, there's going to be a bit of team orders going on here as AJS rides the curbs. Those sausage curbs are dangerous. You want to be keeping off them as much as possible. AJS is doing all he needs to do right now to hold off Wilson. As I was saying, if Wilson gets past, I'm afraid to say it might bring danger to AJS, because Wilson and TKR Saturn, they look to be trying to get up to the back of AJS and making a strategy work for themselves to demote AJS out of the top 5. Only time will tell. 25 minutes remaining. Thank you guys for joining us for the 4th and final round. I can see you all there in chat. ADS, can AJS hold them all off for the next 30 minutes? He's doing an almighty job right now, ADS, in that 777 machine. He's placing that Porsche where it needs to be. He's getting the exits that he needs to deliver to hold off Wilson. Wilson's almost a second adrift now, so AJS has found a rhythm. He knows he's got Wilson and TKR Saturn right behind him. Unfortunately, we can't have on board ADS because of the limitations that ACC brings to us with the broadcasting features. But we have 23 minutes remaining, so we're just about at the halfway mark. I will run through all the runners and riders. Car Mentalist put it on pole. He led them into turn 1. He's been unchallenged because it's all unfolded behind him. He's 10 plus seconds ahead of 12 seconds as the timing deltas do indeed update. 12 seconds is the gap. He's your runaway leader in this 4th and final qualifying round. He's going to be ecstatic with this one. He started second, sorry, he wasn't the pole sitter, because TKR Saturn was your pole sitter, but he dropped it on the opening lap all by himself. It was driver error. He dropped right out of the top 10, but he's having a comeback drive. He's currently in 6th place. He will want that 5th place finish if he can get his hands on it, but he's got his teammate holding that 5th place right now. Ben Gallagher has had an almighty climb up through the field then. He is sitting in 2nd place as Gerino is sitting in 3rd. These guys are the big beneficiaries of everything that's gone on behind them, as is AJS and Wilson Big Mike. They're your top 5. As I said earlier, TKR Saturn was your pole man. He got it all wrong, and he's got all the work to do. ERS Chromedix is another who dropped it, unfortunately. He was running as high as 2nd, as this Porsche Cup car is so unforgiving, as so many have found out before these guys. Militant 95 is another who has unfortunately retired from the race. He was running in 3rd place. Pappy is there in 8th, as MSX has moved up to 9th then, so he's having a strong showing. MSX, he's got Ray Steve just behind him in P10. As we take a look further back, the 103 machine is sitting in 11th, and then there's quite a big gap to the rest of the guys. AMG Dens lost on the opening lap also into turn 3, but he's made his way back up into the 12th place, so he's having a solid drive back up through the field. Prozac is there in 13th. TJT is an unfortunate driver who lost it a few laps ago. As you can see, he's got the damage on the front of that machine. Buzzkill is there in 16th. D-Strap is in 16th, sorry, Buzzkill is there in 15th. CTM is the final runner and rider because CRN Shadow has been in the pits since the opening lap. So CTM Alex is your 17th place man and the final one circulating Circuit de Catalunya. So 20 minutes remaining. Track temperature always dropping. So the guys qualified with track temperatures around 25 degrees. By the end of the race you'll see those drop to around 15. So these guys will really have to manage their tyres and pressures properly. It's very interesting to know if these guys would have run a higher or lower PSI to begin the race or to end the race, because obviously those of you who are good with the setups will know that a full 10-degree drop will see a full swing of 1 PSI, which can make all the difference in having your tyres in the perfect operating window. But no issues for Car Mentalist. He's 13 seconds ahead of Ben Gallagher as Gerino is not letting up. Gerino wants that second place position. He's racing for pride as well as a position in the final, the grand final at Spa-Francorchamps on November the 23rd. AGS is still holding that 4th place then, but he's got Wilson and TKR Saturn on his tail. You just need to hold it together. AJS, do not succumb to the pressure behind you. You've got your rear view mirrors full of green and red Porsche Cup cars, but hold it together, sir. You're doing well. You're in that 4th place position as these two right behind you, Wilson and TKR Saturn, are going to be working together to try and find a way through. Cromdix has indeed dropped off then. He is in 7th place, some 6.5 seconds adrift, as Pappy is less than 2 seconds further back also. And then you've got Ray Steve, who has found his way past MSX then. So MSX and Ray Steve were having a good battle for 9th and 10th, and Ray Steve currently has come out on top in this one. Black Guitar Dude had some super bad graining in the first race, but then the tyres started to come back towards the end. Yeah, so as the temperatures do drop around Barcelona, the tyres will won't be heating up so much, won't be graining up as much. So hopefully these guys will be able to keep it on the tarmac in the final 15 minutes. So it is very likely, Baggy, that the Spa-Francorchamps Grand Final will see one mandatory pit stop. So you're basically having two 45-minute sprint races combined as one 90-minute race. But Car Mentalist then, he's completed 15 laps. He is going to be the man leading the way and picking up the Coach Dave Academy setup bundle. Should things stay as they are, Ben Gallagher 13.2 seconds adrift. Holding off Gerino for the majority of this race then. These two have been circulating together from the beginning. These guys not really putting the foot wrong as I say that. Ben Gallagher was out wide, Gerino was holding the inside line. It's good to see such clean racing as well. AJS then, he's built up a gap of 1 second to Wilson, as Wilson is holding TKR Saturn behind, I believe. So they may be teammates, but there's no team orders, as these guys are fighting for that final, that 5th and final position to get themselves into the grand final. This is fantastic to see. TKR Saturn had the speed, he was on pole position. He's now got that damage from dropping it earlier on, and he is trying to get past Wilson. But Wilson is having none of it. He's holding his line. He's got the aero advantage right now, and he is not letting TKR Saturn through. AGS is 2.8 seconds adrift to Jorginho right now then, as he is coming under some pressure from Wilson. So Wilson just seems to have the edge in this latter half of the lap. AGS just seems to go in very deep into these final sequence of turns, and that allows Wilson to close right up onto the back of him. He's having a sniff then, Wilson. He's going to be looking to get past AGS down this start line straight. Is he going to be able to make the move? AGS is going defensive. He's holding that inside line. He's making Wilson go to the outside. That's what you need to do. Wilson's going to be trying everything he can to go around the outside. He's going to hold the inside line if he can get it. Not this time around then. AGS is holding very well. He's placing that Porsche Cup car where it needs to be, as Wilson Big Mike is looking for a way through right round the outside. If you're trying to find a way through, you're going to have to go the long way round. That's what AGS is saying. As TKR Saturn then, he is looking for a way past also. So this is a fantastic battle going on between this trio of cars. As he's lost it, Wilson loses it. AGS and Wilson, that is very unfortunate. Wilson tagged the back of AGS. AGS does get moving once again then, so all is not lost. That was a heart in the mouth moment for AGS and Wilson. The beneficiary of all that obviously is TKR Saturn, and he finds himself up into 4th place and away from that trio. So AGS Motors on. He's still in the top 5. He still needs to be he's still where he needs to be, rather. I'm just wondering if those tyres are just feeling it now. AGS seems to be on the brakes just a little bit earlier compared to Wilson. I think we caught Wilson out. I don't think that was intentional. Obviously Wilson and TKR Saturn were doing battle as well just behind, and I think Wilson was just trying to brake a little bit later into the corner, and he just tagged AGS very unfortunately, but they do motor on in 5th and 6th, and that has allowed Chromedix to close right up onto the back of Wilson then. He's holding 7th place. Pappy is there in 8th, not too far behind, as is Ray Steve then. So everybody in the top 10 has crossed the line to start lap number 18 at the minute. MSX is weaving down the start line straight then. I'm not sure what's happened there, but we have 13 minutes remaining, so the gap between the top 2 is 13 seconds, as Jorginho is still all over the back of Ben Gallagher then. He's showing extreme patience. Jorginho, he's not doing anything erratic. He's not trying to force any moves or any errors. TKR Saturn miraculously is back up into the top 5. He's holding that 4th place position after absolutely dropping it early on in this race. Good evening, Nelson. It's nice to see you in the stream chat. We have 12 minutes remaining. This race has been eventful to say the least. TKR Saturn was your pole sitter. He dropped it on the opening lap. Car Mentalist was the beneficiary of that one, and he's led every single lap since. He's some 13 seconds ahead of Ben Gallagher and Jorginho. We have lost Militant 95 and Chromedix from the top 3. They were running 2nd and 3rd early on before Militant had some driver errors that saw him retire, as was Chromedix. He had driver error also. He dropped it around the lap that saw him drop outside of the top 5. The big beneficiaries were AJS, Jorginho, Gallagher and Wilson Big Mike. They were the top 5 for a big portion of this race. TKR Saturn has had the comeback drives of all comeback drives. He is currently sitting in 4th place, 2.8 seconds adrift of Jorginho. So these 2nd and 3rd place men haven't been able to get away because they are battling between themselves. And it's fantastic to see TKR Saturn actually with all that damage move back up the field into 4th place. AJS is holding 5th. He is doing what he needs to do to book himself a place in the grand final. Wilson is some 2 seconds adrift after that little collision between themselves, as he has pulled away from Cromedix then. And completing the top 10 is Pappy, Ray Steve and MSX. MSX and 12 seconds adrift of Ray Steve then, so he is unhappy in that machine, as he was occupying the top 8 place early on, so I'm not sure where or why he's dropped right off the pace, but he's got the 103 machine just behind him now, some 1.2 seconds adrift. Prozac is there in 12th, and we'll run through the rest of winners and riders. TJT, DJ Strap. We haven't seen DJ Strap featured much in this race. He's had a bit of a lonely race at the rear of the field. He was a very late entry into this qualifying round number 4. Buzzkill is there in 15th place in that brightly oranged Porsche Cup car. CTM Alex then at the rear of the field. He's got damage, a bit of front damage on that car, but he still motors on some 38 seconds behind. At 19 laps complete, there is no problems for Car Mentalist. He's holding that 13-second gap then to Ben Gallagher in 2nd, and he is doing everything he needs to do to book himself a place in the final and take the win this afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, around Circuit de Catalunya. Ben Gallagher once again holding off Gerino, and would you believe TKR Saturn is right on the back of this battle. TKR Saturn is coming back for some vengeance. He wants to climb back up the field as much as possible. This is an almighty comeback drive from TKR Saturn, and all of a sudden there's a three-way battle for P2, ladies and gentlemen. Ben Gallagher has been doing all the defending from Gerino, and I think Gerino has just been happy to sit there, but all of a sudden Gerino has got his rear view mirrors full of TKR Saturn, which he probably wasn't expecting, because there was a nice 10-second gap to AJS just a few laps ago, but AJS and Wilson had that coming together, and TKR Saturn was released from that trio of cars. AJS and Wilson, they are your 5th and 6th men, so he's just on the bubble. But we will ride back on board with this trio of Saturn, Gerino and Gallagher. As these final 8 minutes do unfold, it will be interesting to see who comes out on top in this battle. Is there still more drama to unfold, ladies and gentlemen? Ben Gallagher again on the grass ever so slightly. Is Gerino got a better exit? I see a back marker just ahead. As Ben Gallagher does flash the lights, then he won't want to be held up behind this back marker. It is CTM Alex, so we'll ride on board with CTM Alex as the back marker in this battle. Hopefully he moves out of the way in due course as they do make their way back up, as he does let these guys past. That's great sportsmanship shown from CTM Alex, as Ben Gallagher then is still doing all the defending from Gerino and Saturn. Saturn looking for a move up the inside, he's going for the lunge. Saturn, has he made the move stick? He does indeed, as Gerino is around. You don't want to do that, sir. Gerino just absolutely dropped that cup car because Saturn made a move right up the inside, and I don't think Gerino was expecting it whatsoever. So Gerino, after pressuring Ben Gallagher for the last 40 minutes of this race, has just dropped it because Saturn made a fantastic move up the inside. Let's be fair to him, TKR Saturn running with that damage on the front of that machine just absolutely nailed his braking points and caught Gerino by surprise. So Gerino has dropped off that battle going on for P2, but he still holds P4. So all is not lost for Jorginho. He's doing everything he needs to do to book himself a place in the final. And will we see Saturn make another move past Ben Gallagher then? It's very much a what if situation for TKR Saturn. If we didn't drop it early on, what type of race would we have seen at the front of the field? If there ever was a prize or driver of the day, you've got to be looking at TKR Saturn for this one. He's climbed all the way back up to P3 currently as he's looking to challenge right round the outside of Ben Gallagher. Is he going to make it stick going through this fast right-hander? This is just absolutely fantastic stuff to watch. TKR Saturn then, is he going to claim another victim? Going into this tight and twisty section of Circuit de Catalunya, he hasn't quite got the gap down enough to make moves this time around, so Ben Gallagher does hold on to P2 currently. But TKR Saturn is looking for a way through. So this is the battle for second place, ladies and gentlemen. These guys don't actually need to battle with each other. They don't need to do anything unnecessary as Ben Gallagher... Wow. Ben Gallagher just had the moments of all moments as he was dealing with the pressure from TKR Saturn. He almost ended up in the wall. He managed to keep hold of that Porsche machine. He did take a trip into the gravel. Wow, well, we were. That was close. He motors on in third though. Like I was just about to say, these guys don't need to do anything unnecessary. They just need to hold on to the positions that they are currently running in, because they do find themselves in that all-important top 5, which books their place in the grand final. As I just look through the order, I believe we've just lost Wilson. Wilson has just dropped out of the session. He was running in 6th, just outside of the top 5, so CTM once again does look to move over for AJS to carry on. He holds that 5th place position, that all-important 5th place, to book his place in the final on November the 23rd at Spa-Francorchamps. Jorginho is there in 4th then after losing it under pressure from Saturn. Ben Gallagher, also one of the drivers that just lost it after dealing with pressure from TKR Saturn, who has found his way up into 2nd place. What a fantastic recovery drive this afternoon in this race. 3 minutes remaining. But once again at the front of the field then, he is on lap number 24. He motors on some 14 seconds ahead. Unchallenged for the majority of this race. Hasn't put a foot wrong. I am told that he's feeling the degradation in those tyres now though. But he only has a handful of laps left to complete this 45-minute race around Circuit de Catalunya. TKR Saturn has moved up into 2nd place then. I don't think he will be able to close the gap to Car Mentalist, not with 2 minutes remaining. Well, for a fact he won't be able to. You can't close 7 seconds a lap unless Car Mentalist drops it. Hopefully there's no commentator's curse there, but Ben Gallagher is your 3rd place man. Jorginho is holding 4th, and those two have been battling pretty much the entire race. They've been nose to tail. They were interrupted, rudely interrupted shall we say, by the charging TKR, who forced their own driver errors on both of these guys. AGS is just sat behind them then. He is holding that 5th place position. Some 3.5 seconds further back is ERS Chromatics then. Too little too late for Chromatics, trying to make his way back up through the field. He hasn't quite got the pace to find himself back up into P2, where he was running early on. MSX then, he's found his way up into 7th, so he's having a brilliant drive to finish his race. He's found his way past Ray, Steve and Schmidt, the 103 machine, so 7th place for MSX as he's holding the inside line then. Ray Steve is looking to challenge right round the outside. Can he get the move done? No, he cannot. So the leader does go on to his final lap. 1 minute remaining. 1 lap left. The final qualifying round, the 4th and final qualifying round of the Academy Cup, sponsored by Coach Dave Academy, brought to you by SOP Motorsport. This has been a fantastic series to broadcast for everyone so far. Qualifying rounds 1 and 2 at Silverstone was fantastic. We had some fantastic close action right through the field in those opening rounds. We had round 3 earlier on, and this is the final round where the final 5 drivers will join the 15 others who have already booked their place in the grand final. We have a week's break now where the drivers, I'm sure, will be putting in that practice around Spa-Francorchamps, where they will all come together to meet on November the 23rd to do battle for a prize pool of $100 for the podium finishers. As we ride on board the car mentalist then, he negotiates the final chicane of Circuit de Catalunya. He will win the final qualifying round. He will pick up the Coach Dave Academy setup bundle. Congratulations, sir, you are the winner of today's qualifying round number 4. TKR Saturn comes round also. He is going to be thrilled with his comeback drive, I'm sure of it, as he takes home the 2nd place to book his place in the final. Ben Gallagher is there in 3rd. Gerino brings it home in 4th after a fantastic battle between those two. AJS, round of applause to AJS then. He keeps it on the tarmac to bring it home in 5th. He had a scare earlier on with Wilson. Slight tap of the rear sent them both spinning, but AJS brings it home in 5th. The final man to make up the 20 runners and riders in the Spa-Francorchamps Grand Final. EOS Chromatics just outside then brings it home in 6th place. MSX is there in 7th, side-by-side finish with MSX and Rays, as 9th place man 103 machine is closely followed across the line. So we just have some runners and riders left in this race, with TJT bringing up the top 10. And just a quick mention to the other 4 runners and riders: Prozac, D-Strap, Buzzkill and CTM. Those are the final guys to cross the line in the final round of the Coach Dave Academy sponsored Academy Cup. Thank you everybody for tuning in to all 4 of the qualifying rounds. If you've made the grand final, congratulations to you guys. We will be back here on November the 23rd at Spa. Please tune in for that one. It's going to be a fantastic final. We have an action-packed lineup where they will do battle for the $100 prize. I will end it there, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much. We will see you again.